Good morning, Wabash. Speaking today at Pioneer Chapel will be Will Trapp with his talk titled Our Worship, Turner Royal with his talk titled Through My Eyes, Austin Stockton with his talk titled Don't Be Afraid to Be Yourself, and Cody Bevelhimer with his talk titled It's Okay to Be Second. Will Trapp is a senior economics and religion major. During his 4 years at Wabash, he's been a proud brother of the Lambda Chi Alpha House, serving as the philanthropy chair there, and he is the lead consultant for the CIB. Shortly after graduation, he will marry the love of his life, Hannah Tippett. Lord willing, he plans to pursue a career in venture capital and muddy his hands with his own startups along the way. Turner is an economics major, philosophy minor from Bloomfield, Indiana. He spent his 4 years at Wabash as a brother of the Phi Kappa Psi fraternity. Was a member of the basketball team for 3 years, a member of the Sphinx Club and the MXI. Following graduation, Turner will be moving to Indianapolis to work for Eli Lilly as a financial analyst. Those close to Turner claim that he knows ball. Austin Stockton is a senior psychology major and a film and education double minor. Austin is a proud independent who was voted the top independent last year. He's involved in a lot of organizations, including being an hermano of La Alianza and an ally in Shout. Austin plans on working in marketing and sales after Wabash. Cody is a senior music major with a film and digital media minor from Zionsville, Indiana. He is a brother of the Phi Gamma Delta House and has spent his time at Wabash being a part of the Sphinx Club, the Wabash College Chamber Orchestra, and the Sons of Wabash. For his post-graduation plans, he's going to be working at the Center for Performing Arts as a production technician in Carmel, Indiana. Let's give a warm welcome to Will, Turner, Austin, and Cody.
Good morning, Wabash. I'd like to take a quick moment and thank the Sphinx Club for selecting me and these other three wonderful gentlemen to speak today in the Pioneer Chapel. I'd also take a moment and thank my brothers of Lambda Chi Alpha, who are turned out in droves, and for the unending support they've given me, as well as my dear family, and as we also lovelyly mentioned, my Hannah Tippett. She can't be here with us today, but without her support, I would probably have gone insane a long time ago. Now that those cliches are out of the way, I'd like to start with one more cliche. Let me look back and reflect on my time at Wabash. What have I learned? I've learned a few things. I've learned to live with people that are very different than me. My brothers are, we share a lot of different values at times and have different interests. The gentlemen across campus that I've got to engage with have taught me different things about myself. I've learned to work hard and build my cross-discipline knowledge. I'm a true liberal arts student. I have a time in the religion department. I have my time in my econ classes as well. And I've also learned how to kind of maybe drink more responsibly. If you want details, I'd be happy to tell you about my last night out in Prague. Study abroad. It's a lot of fun. But what I'd like to focus in on today and talk to you for the most time about is a critique of something that I've learned here at Wabash. For the past 4 years, I've become ever so slightly more selfish, more self-seeking, more prideful, more self-centered. And I don't think I like that. I don't know if that applies to you. Maybe all of you are completely altruistic and entirely selfless in every way, and I hope that's the case. But if it's not, then I invite you to kind of walk through this journey with me as I talk about pride and what we're putting at the center of our life. Oftentimes, at the very center of our life is ourselves. It's you. So much of your thoughts, so much of your time and devotion is spent on serving yourself. You have thoughts like, my Wabash education, it's for me. I'm going to find a job, and that career is going to be my job, and I'm so excited. I'm going to make so much money. I'm looking out for where can I find the most fun, my own pleasure, my own development even, my own physique. So much of our thoughts are self-centered and kind of orbiting around our own goodness, our own self-seeking. And I'd like to just question that for a little bit. I want lifelong friends, and I want that great alumni network. But for what? Just to make me feel better? Make me feel stronger, more powerful, more pleasure? Do I want more comfort? Do I want more glory of myself? I want people to know my name, make it maybe plaster it up on a big building. Trapp. Yeah. Wow, great. My pride leads me to consume more than I want, if that's people's time I just take for my own, if that's food, if that's time on this device. I'm always seeking more and more and more for me. And I'd like to give a quick story of a Wabash grad who didn't live that way. Graduated just a while ago, a proud brother of the Phi Size. Left this Wabash College and started a career in medical sales. His Wabash understanding and learning helped him propelled him professionally, and he did well. And his company asked him to move from Illinois to Ohio and work in a higher up management position. Said, sure, go right along. Kept doing well, and then the company said, hey, how about a raise? How about a higher position? Move you further away. And he's like, I don't feel like this is the path that is supposed to be laid before me. And so he left the corporate world, went back to grad school, got a master's in psychology, and continued to practice clinical psychology for 25 years, and spent his entire life sitting with people as they laid out their problems, as they laid out their hurt, all their trauma, and he'd carry that. And he'd carry that with them, and he'd stand with them. Not saying that a career in the medical industry isn't fruitful, but it wasn't a life that he could follow selflessly. That man was my father, and through his life, he was able to spend time with me and my sisters and my mom, and really pour himself out into other people, instead of being locked in and focused on himself. The object of his worship wasn't himself. He wasn't what he was orbiting around. And he knew that he would make a very fragile God, a very broken God, a very imperfect God. So he wouldn't put himself there. He wouldn't put himself at the center to worship. And that's a truth that I'm standing here to remind myself, and maybe remind you, if you have heard it before, that you are not the center, and neither is Wabash. Neither is the society that we live in. It's not simply just live and glorify whatever everyone else is saying. What then is life for? We can turn to biology and maybe say survive, propagate, reproduce, spread the good of whatever species you are. But as a higher level thinking human, I think that we can go further than that. Maybe we can, instead of just your own posterity, you can consider the species as a whole, all of us humans. We can consider our home, this planet, the institutions we built. Can we care for those? Can we put those in that center? Can we put something other than ourselves in the center? In a quick little word image, I'd like to invite you to plant apple trees, plant orchards that you might never see blossom. So instead of living a life of pleasurable consumption where it's all focused on you, maybe open up some opportunities for kindness, peacemaking, selfless love, a love that is sacrificial. And maybe even consider that it might never be returned. Might your every act, might every path you take, every choice be not self-seeking, not self-serving, but looking towards the needs of others, to the needs of the greater society, and maybe opening up opportunities for other people, even if it never comes back and gives you that promotion, or even if they never come back and give you a donation, even if they never come back and do a favor for you. Just pure, selfless sacrifice. Thank you.
Good morning, Wabash.
Good morning, sir.
I want to start by thanking my brother, Sphinx Club, for allowing me to present you all up here today. It really means a lot. Second, I would like to thank my brother at Phi Psi for being there for me through and next, I would like my friends and family to listen to me today. My beautiful girlfriend, Victoria. My dad, John, who has always pushed me to be the best that I can be and provided me with everything that I've ever needed and so much more. And to my mom, Stella, who has been my number one fan, who has always been there for those late night calls and has truly been the greatest mother that any kid could ask for. And also Christopher and James, my two brothers. Alrighty, so my talk is going to be a little different, or at least I hope different than others you've heard before. So since my freshman year, I've been an enrollment ambassador for the admissions department and have given tons and tons of tours to prospective students and their families when they visit Wabash. In doing so, I've learned a lot about the college, about interacting with the students and their families, and a lot about myself. So today, I'm going to give you all a tour of Wabash through my eyes and talk about some of the stories I have from various buildings on campus that I hope you'll either find amusing or can relate to. All right, first, I want to start at the Detchen Center. So my first semester at Wabash, I took Spanish 201 with Dr. Greenhalgh. And I'm pretty sure that was his first semester at Wabash as well. I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure. Now, on one particular Friday, we were doing what is known as walkout over at Phi Psi. If you don't know what walkout is, essentially, after each freshman's last class of the day, the freshmen are not allowed back in the house for the entire weekend, and the brothers try and capture the freshmen after class. So that day at the end of class, we were in Detchen 111, and I saw two seniors waiting to catch me outside of the classroom door. So instead of walking out the door and getting caught, I opened the window in the back of the classroom, and I jumped. Now, the Detchen first floor is a little bit higher than, like, the center first floor. It's probably, I don't know, like 8 to 10 feet. So I hit the ground, I did a roll, and I sprinted across campus towards Lambda to hide from all the brothers trying to catch me. Also funny, that day, Dr. Hardy was in the class evaluating Dr. Greenhalgh. So both of them saw me jump out the window. I didn't get captured by the brothers, but I'm sure Dr. Hardy and Dr. Greenhalgh were wondering if I had broken an ankle or anything like that, but thankfully that didn't happen. Next, I want to move on to Hayes Hall. Now, raise your hand Raise your hand if you came to Wabash and said to yourself, I'm going to major in chemistry or bio and go to med school. And then after your freshman year of labs, you said, to hell with this, I'm switching majors. I thought there'd be a few more of you, but that was me. I was one of those guys. Now, I give all the credit to the faculty and staff and for you guys that stick it out doing the lab sciences. You guys are doing God's work, but as soon as I was done with labs my freshman year, I was like, I'm never stepping foot in a lab again. Next, we move on to Center Hall. Now, there's two inevitable truths at Wabash College. Number one is that second semester seniors will take a 100 level class with the beloved Dr. Blix. Number two is that Dr. Blix will crack jokes with, or mostly at, those seniors who come to class frequently hungover or, in some cases, still drunk from the night before. This semester, I was part of those two inevitable truths. Dr. Blix, you are a legend and you have impacted many lives of Wabash men, and we thank you for everything. All right, so now we move on to Baxter. My fellow econ guys in here, and some of you have most likely taken a class with Dr. Mikek, otherwise known as Grandpa Mikek. In doing so, you've probably been on the receiving end of, no, 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 bad, bad boy. Which is very effective in making you not remember the things that you shouldn't remember. Dr. Mikek has one of the most unique and, in my opinion, effective methods of teaching that I've ever seen. So Dr. Mikek, never change. Next up is the Allen Center, where I'm going to tell a little story about my days as a basketball player. So Coach Brummett is infamous among the basketball team and the alums for displaying to his players how we should do our defensive slides. So he's like, you get down your stance and you go, I got him, I got him, I got him, every time you do the slide. Styles McCorkle, over at the Lambda House, can imitate this to perfection. He can do it in his voice. He can copy Coach Brum's mannerisms to like an absolute T. And every day after practice, the year we went to the Final Four, he was doing it. All the way like from the upstairs down to the locker room. It was super funny. Much to Coach Brum's distress, but it was funny. Those are the little moments that I will remember most from basketball. And I would also like to say thank you to Coach Brum for recruiting me, because without that, I would not have ended up at Wabash. Next, we're going to take a stroll over to PKP. So this one, there's a lot of memories and stories that I could tell you, a lot of which would not be ideal to tell in this setting. However, what I can say, and I'm sure many of you can relate to this in your various fraternities and living units, is that joining Phi Psi was one of the best decisions I've ever made. I've created friendships and relationships that will last a lifetime, and some of my pledge brothers will end up in my wedding someday. And I hope you all can find your place on campus where you can build relationships like that. So that ends the tour, but before I end today, I'd like to give two pieces of advice. This first one is directly to the students. Upperclassmen, whether you're in a fraternity, a sport, or a club, help out the younger guys. Show them the ropes. It's hard coming to Wabash with the heavy class load and learning how to be a leader in different positions. So show them how to run a committee that you've been on. Show them how to attack practice every day. Show them how to study and do their homework well. Do this because it's not about making Wabash better for ourselves. It's about making it better for those who come after us. That's why Wabash lives on, and that is why Wabash men do great things in this world. Lastly, and I tell this to all students and their families at the end of their visits to Wabash, I tell them that, the specific content and things you learn in your classes are important. You need it to graduate and get your degree. However, the reason I believe Wabash sets itself apart from other places is this. Wabash teaches guys how to learn. It teaches you how to ask questions, how to communicate, how to receive criticism from professors, coaches, campus leaders, whoever. And it teaches you how to run with that criticism, how to make something of it, and more than anything, Wabash teaches you how to figure it out. Companies and grad schools today don't need complacent individuals who are going to sit there and go through the motions. They need guys that can get stuff done and figure things out. That is the culture we have at Wabash today, and if that culture remains, this place will continue to have an impact on people's lives and have an impact on the world. Thank you.
Good morning, Wabash. First of all, I'd like to thank the Sphinx Club for inviting me to do a chapel talk today. Thank you, guys. You guys are awesome. And I'd also like to thank everyone who decided to come out today. I think you guys made a really good choice coming down to hear four awesome gentlemen give their advice and give their philosophy about Wabash and life. So thank you. I know that many of you are in different stages of life right now. Some of you know exactly what you're going to do and where you're going to go. And some of you may be asking yourselves, what exactly am I doing here? Many of you felt that you belonged to this place the moment you set foot on campus. And many of you felt that maybe this place just wasn't for you. When I first got here, I felt like this place wasn't for me. There were many reasons as to why I felt that way. But the one that I think that got to me the most was that I didn't know who I was. This was the first time that I was all on my own, and the pandemic only made those feelings worse. Throughout the fall of 2020, I struggled to find my place here at Wabash and where exactly I would fit here. During the break between semesters, I took some time to remember why I wanted to go to Wabash in the first place and to find out who I really wanted to be. And the semesters following that, I decided to not hold myself back from anything. If there was something that I wanted to do, I would do it. If there was someone I wanted to talk to, I would have a long discussion with them. I felt more confident as I spent more time here at Wabash. I've made lifelong friends. I've had experiences that I will cherish for the rest of my life, and I'll always remember why I came to Wabash in the first place. However, not everyone's college experience is like that. Many of those who struggle to find who they are continue to struggle with that as they continue their education. The stigmas that certain identities face has been a consistent problem not only in college, but in high school as well. People struggle with who they are because they fear what others think of them, and they may not feel comfortable with who they really are. I know I had some of those same fears as well. However, in my time here at Wabash, I learned that I didn't need to be afraid of who I was, because I knew that the people I wanted to be around were right here on campus. I learned that the people who you can trust not only respect you for who you are, but they also want the best for you. I learned that the people who you need to be around are the people who want to do good in the world and strive to help others. Furthermore, I believe that embracing the people around you is what a liberal arts education is supposed to do. In my time at Wabash, I've learned that being engaged in a liberal arts education sets you up to be that kind of person, and who isn't afraid of what others think and strives to surround themselves in a culture of brotherhood that cares and values them. Whether it's cultural organizations such as the MXI, La Alianza, or Shout, or creative clubs such as the Glee Club, the Door Club, or even the Cooking Club, there are people here who know what makes you the person you really are. With how much we have focused on mental health here at Wabash, don't be afraid of showing your emotions. You are your own person, and with that, you have your own struggles. Everyone is unique, and so are everyone's experiences. But don't forget about the brotherhood that you have right in front of you. Not being afraid of who you are not only includes knowing exactly who you are and who you want to be around, but it also involves knowing what makes you vulnerable, and even more importantly, what makes you stronger. I know that there are some brothers here who struggle with their identities, but let's make it clear. We are here for everyone. Whether you're a townie who wants to dominate in the sport you play, or you're an international student adjusting to life in America, the true brotherhood that cares for you is right here. None of us knows what the future holds, but my hope is that all of you know how much you are valued here, and the relationships you've made and the experiences you've had will last you a lifetime. Thank you so much.
Good morning, Wabash. So, like everybody else, I'd like to first off start off by thanking my brothers in the Sphinx Club for giving me the opportunity to speak today. Next, I'd like to thank my brothers over in the Fiji House for helping shape my last 4 years. And last but certainly not least, I want to thank my family and all of my loved ones who helped support me in my goals all these years and every day helped to make me a better person. So the title of my talk is It's Okay to Be Second, which might be a little bit confusing to some people. When I say that, I don't mean that you should settle for second place instead of striving to be first. At Wabash, we're surrounded by competition in every aspect of our lives, whether it's to get the best grade in the class, the homecoming competition, or to be first in the lunch line. Competition surrounds us. But there are some things in life that I think it's okay not trying to be first. And those things that I specifically want to talk about today are conversations and relationships. Now, I know that this isn't a novel idea. I think that we can all pretty easily sit here and agree that you should never try and put yourself above somebody else in a conversation and try and make the center of attention yourself. I think that the goals, and again, I think we can all agree, should be collaboration, working with the person for the best outcome for both of you and not just yourself. But I think that sometimes a lot of us, kind of as my friend Will Trapp here said earlier, we get too focused on ourselves and we see ourselves as the main characters in our own story, and we neglect to see the needs of other people. Now, I've seen people do this commonly, unknowingly in conversations where something will get brought up and they'll make a connection between what was said and something from their own lives. Then, without thinking, they'll insert that example into the conversation with the hopes of becoming more relatable, but instead, it actually just deters the point of the conversation towards yourself. Now, doing this once or twice might not do much, but for a prolonged period of time to the same person over and over again can pretty quickly invalidate their feelings, their thoughts, and damage a relationship without you ever even knowing about it. For most of my life, I'd like to say that I've always thought I was pretty good at reading people, their thoughts, their feelings, and then being able to sniff out if anything was wrong, how to best be there for them, and just generally putting myself second. But regardless of how good I actually am, or how good I think I am, everyone kind of learns at some point that you've got a lot of room to grow. I want to look back at last semester, fall of 2023. I think that you can ask pretty much any senior here, and I think they'd all pretty much tell you the same thing, that last semester sucked. Between job searches, comps, senior projects, we all had a lot on our plate. But that doesn't even begin to scratch the surface of everything that falls outside of the Wabash bubble. For example, one of my best friends, my pledge brother, not only was dealing with everything that school had to throw at him, and the job search and planning for his future, but back home, he was forced to tackle some foundational changes that disrupted his daily life. And with that, he was dealing with the mental health that took blow after blow. To top it all off, he had a friend who couldn't look past his own issues and was too focused on himself to realize that he had needs too. I was that friend. I was so caught up in everything that I was doing with my projects and with my school that I couldn't look past the Wabash bubble to see that he had things impacting his life, not just his education. It wasn't until the week before finals that he sat me down and justifiably lit me up for how I treated him and how it made him feel. In a later conversation with my girlfriend, Rachel, I was talking with her about the conversation I had had with my pledge brother. And I told her that I was shocked by what he had to say. I thought that we were both just so occupied with the things that we were doing that we just never ran into each other. And I'd never entertained the thought that I just became somebody he didn't want to be around. And while I didn't expect an "it's okay" or "it's not your fault," because it was my fault and it wasn't okay, I didn't expect the reaction that I would get. She echoed him. Well, obviously, her, being a girl, doesn't deal with a lot of the things that we deal with at Wabash, but she's still a person. She was dealing with everything that comes with starting a new program at a new school. She was working through newly diagnosed health issues that forced her to step away from things that she loved. And whenever she would go back home to try and cope, she was dealing with a roommate that made her dorm feel like a battlefield. And this left her certain of little and uncertain of a lot. The one person that she had hoped would certainly be able to help her work through her problems and help her cope couldn't focus on anything but his own issues back at Wabash. You guessed it. That was me again. In the same week that I had had that conversation with my pledge brother, I was again sat down and forced to face my empathetic shortcomings. Ever since these conversations, I've thought about what the common denominator was between these two situations. And it's not hard to see that it was me, my actions, and the way that I organized the dynamics of our relationship. I wish I could say that after having noticed all of this, that I was able to turn it all around and that I've never made the same mistakes again. But that wouldn't be the truth. Growth takes time. And breaking away from something that you've been doing for so long unconsciously takes intentional effort and thought. And it's not easy closing your mouth and opening your ears, because I know for me, you can ask pretty much anybody that knows me that, boy, do I love to talk. But regardless, closing your mouth and opening your ears is still a heck of a lot easier than looking at the people that you love, seeing the pain in their eyes as they tell you how much you'd hurt them. Now, I don't tell these stories with the hope that anyone feels bad for me, because you shouldn't. I messed up, and I know that. If you are to feel bad for anyone, I'd hope that it's my pledge brother, my girlfriend, or anybody else that had to put up with me and my constant self-idolization. Instead, I tell these stories as a reflective senior, hoping to impart some sense of wisdom through a cautionary tale. These stories can show what happens when you neglect the people that you love and instead substitute everything of importance for yourself, hyperfixating on every issue that you have without looking at anything that they're dealing with. I tell these stories hoping that you learn the same lessons that I did without sharing those same experiences. That lesson being that it's okay to be second. I'm lucky that the two people that I hurt stayed by my side and gave me the opportunities to show that I was better, because they knew I was better and they wanted to bring that out of me. But not everybody gets that chance. It's difficult to find the balance between yourself and others. While there are times that you should put yourself second because that person needs you more, you shouldn't neglect yourself. Your needs should never come last. I say that ironically, being the last person today. The things in your own life have weight and meaning and importance, so you need to pay attention to them. But at the same time, the moment that you start to hyperfixate and see them as more important than anything else, you're blinded to the needs of others. If I knew what that balance was, I would happily tell you. But then my last semester, would have looked a lot different. My hope is that moving forward, hopefully having listened to something that I said, that you can see these within yourself and make steps towards being better before you have to hurt the people that you love. Thank you.
A few final announcements. This weekend, tennis will compete in the NCAC tournament. On Saturday, lacrosse will host Worcester for Senior Day. Also on Saturday, baseball will be at Oberlin for a doubleheader. Lastly, the Sphinx Club would like to take the time to welcome our new honorary members. Firstly, Buck Waddell. Second, Byron Lair. And lastly, Nick Cassad. The Cassad family is here today to receive Nick's posthumously in his memory. Now, will you all please stay standing and join me in singing Old Wabash? Da 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 da.